We are here with Curtis Jaques, and Curtis, tell me now again where you're. I know you passed 1.7, right? 1.8?
Yeah, well, I'm getting close.
So nearly at 1.8 million in personal career sales as a representative, one of the top CSPs in the entire nation. I don't know what all your annual totals have been. I know that you've been over 300. How many years now?
I've been over 300 1 year.
Okay, just 1 year. And you've been over 200 for how many years?
Well, I've been 250 for 5 years now.
Okay. Definitely one of our most consistent 200K plus shippers.
5 or 4. Either.
Very exciting. And so, can you, I know it's been a while and you're so good at it now. If you can think back to when you were a new rep, do you remember what the things were that were most helpful to you as a new rep to learn to get better at the position?
Well, the first thing that I learned right away, Amy, is that you have to listen. I think that a lot of representatives do not listen to their customer, they do not listen to their manager, they don't listen to any of their peers. And I find that if I would have listened from the very beginning with CUTCO, it would have been a lot easier and smoother for me to get into the position that I'm in now. It took me, 3 years to figure out that if you just listen to the customer, they're telling you exactly what they want to buy with CUTCO. The other thing that I would say that helped me a lot too is just sticking with the program. The basics. You have to show the penny, you have to, do all of the things correctly before a customer fully understands CUTCO. Because if you don't tell the customer the true value of CUTCO, they're not going to buy the product. So, big thing for me is obviously listening and showing the customer the value of CUTCO, but sticking to the basics.
Do you think it helps to have more of the pieces to show? Like, I know everybody starts with a particular sample kit, but you can add it on. There's things on Vector Connect where you can get really special deals on samples. There's a way to win it in contests. Sometimes you get it for going to a conference. Like, how valuable is it to add more to your collection when you're showing people stuff?
It's a huge valuable thing. You can't really sell CUTCO if you don't have it. And if you don't use CUTCO, then you don't know what to say to the customer. So to me, what I would tell you to do is go straight online and definitely get all of the product. If you don't win it from your manager, obviously the biggest thing that you could order off of there is, of course, the cheese knife or the specialty paquette. The vegetable knife is one of my favorites. The Hardy Slicer you sell almost all the time. CUTCO knife, the boning knife, which is the raw meat knife, amazing. The cleaver, for the men, they love that piece as well. So obviously the more samples you have, the better variety of knives that your customer has to choose from, and it allows them to actually see it, feel it, touch it, love it, buy it. Definitely having the product there, chopping at the kitchen, making sure that they are comfortable with what they're going to buy, because the more comfortable they are, the more they're going to buy.
And I know you're really good at building value quickly, like within minutes if you have to.
Right.
So if you were going to tell someone, like say they're struggling even at building value, what are the 2 to 4 most important things to building the value of CUTCO as fast as you need to and really makes a difference?
Well, the main things that I do, because I tell myself you have less than a minute to impress the customer on what CUTCO is. You have to catch them. You got to get the hook in there. The thing with me is, 1, we're made in America. 2, we've been around since 1949. We are the only knife company that actually comes to the house, sharpens the knives professionally for them, or you can return it back to the factory and they actually fix it, replace it, and everything like that as well. The other thing that I like to do too is tell my customers, hey, we've been on Made in America with John Ratzenberger, on how it's made, modern marvels for the sharpest knife in the world. Rachel Ray blogged about us 4 months ago saying that we are the best knife company she's ever owned. Just reassuring the customer that, hey, we're not a small knife company, we're like one of the biggest knife companies in the world, and I think that it's very important that you get that across right away, so it doesn't seem like you're selling an inferior product or an infomercial product or anything like that. Because when they hear the dollar price of CUTCO, then they know that, hey, they're dealing with a high-end thing, and if all those people like CUTCO, obviously that's the thing. I was horrible when I first started, you know what I mean, which I think that's important that people know that you got to work at what you're doing to become successful. Once you get it, you got it, and then you got to keep moving on.
So when you were newer, the thing that kept you with the position was it more of just because you did enjoy it so much, or were you getting other things out of it that you really?
I think that the value of CUTCO, Vector, is that a lot of the people actually supported me. when I was having a rough day at, college, I can come in and they're like, don't worry about it, put that to the side, don't be frustrated over a test, there's other things that could, happen to you that, on and on and on. People really helped me develop myself, who I am, how I think of myself, what I do with myself, as far as a professional. But at the same time, it was really exciting knowing that there was an organization that would take me somewhere or actually allow me to grow as a person, but also as a business person as well.
And what keeps you here? Like, what do you love most about your position as an FSM CSP today?
I think the thing that keeps me here the most, Amy, is that, one, the foundation of what CUTCO has given me. I have a platform to stand on. I can create a family. I know that I won't have to work that hard, in the future by saving up my money, doing the right things so that in the future my kids can do the same thing. The other thing that keeps me here, obviously, is the trips. If there's a trip, I'll win it, and I'll go to every single trip that I can. Changing lives, it's not about the knives, kind of saying. Definitely that's who I am. I totally think about my customer, the benefit of them. They're actually benefiting longer than me in the long run, because that customer is going to have their knives 30, 40, 50 years from now, and I'll only have the few commission dollars that I got off of them for, as long as...
Until it's spent,
until
right?
it's gone.
Right. And then, what have been your favorite CUTCO trips? Like, what destinations do you think?
To be honest with you, my favorite trip of all time is Jamaica. Okay, it was 7 days of amazingness. Getting to go out on the cruise, going snorkeling, jumping on trampolines in the middle of the ocean, going on slides.
It was raining.
Raining. The people were amazing. I've never met nicer people than the people in Jamaica. Also, Dominican Republic, most relaxing place I've ever been. It wasn't like crazy, all the time. Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Mexico, Ireland.
So beyond the fact that they're great destinations, by the way, do you think part of what makes it fun is that there are so many other reps there? I think that has to be part of what makes it so great.
Well, the thing that I like about it is that I can rekindle with some of the people across the nation that are big-time people. You get to see people from the Western region, the Eastern region, the Central region.
Canada.
Yeah.
Always have our Canadian friends there.
Gotta love Team Canada.
Team Canada.
But the thing that's nice about it too is that you can pick their brains while you're on these on these trips, and you learn so many things about them individually that helps me out in my business too. You know what I mean? How they schedule their time, how they book their appointments. Do they have a personal assistant? Et cetera, et cetera. And the thing that's nice about it too, it's not all about business. You know what I mean? It's becoming friends, getting to know each other, etc. like that.
Absolutely. New reps generally, what do you think are the most common success tips you would give to just someone who's starting out that wants to do well?
Well, if they're brand new with CUTCO, the first thing that I would tell them to do, stick to the basics, listen to your manager. I know that that's very cliche and that's what a lot of people do, but people see past that and then they don't understand that the reason why CUTCO works so well is because of the foundation that they've started. Another tip that I would tell them if they're first starting off with CUTCO, you have to work, you have to be consistent, and no excuses. A lot of the top representatives in CUTCO have no excuses. They work because they want to work, and when they're working, they're working. They're not, oh, I had a bad week because of this, or da-da-da-da-da. No, they had a bad week because simply they didn't work. If you want to be successful at CUTCO, you have to work.
And by the way, that's the same anywhere, isn't it? If you really want to be, unless you're going to go get one where you punch in and punch out and you don't make much money and they don't expect much from you. If you want to be successful in health, you have to work at it. If you want to be successful in relationships, you have to work at it. That seems pretty common.
Right.
Just got to put in the effort.
But I just think that when you're new and you're first starting off, you can be lazy and complacent because, you have a big week and you're all like, oh, I just made $1,000. I could take a week off. No, you can't. That's not how you get ahead. You actually go behind when you take weeks off when you don't need to.
Right.
So yeah.
It's probably good to keep some. What if someone's at a level where they're doing okay, but they just really want to figure out how to take it to that next big level?
The first thing I would tell them to do is get a plan. Find out what number they're trying to hit, and then break it down into the simples. If someone's going for a 200K year, I tell people all the time, that's simple. You can do that. All you have to do is have a 20K week for 12 months straight. People are like, well, that's 240K. And I'm like, do you really think that you're going to sell 20K every single month of the year? No, that doesn't happen. But the thing is, if you focus on that 20K a month goal, and you actually start clipping along going, okay, well, 20K, 4 weeks, that's 5K. How many appointments do I have to do 5K? Okay, well, my average order is $500. Just go from that. Okay, well, I need 10 orders, and I sell to 8 people. Okay, well, you need to do 12 to 15 appointments with a high average order to get to that goal. Now, the thing is that, can you do it? Yes, it's easy. The thing is, you have to work, you have to put the time in, but you have to make it even smaller and smaller and smaller as a goal. Okay, well, if I have to do 15 appointments in a week, I have 5 days to work, that's only 2 to 3 appointments a day. How do I make that happen in my schedule? It's easy. Get on the phone, call them, book the appointments. And the thing that you got to do is, how many phone calls do you have to do to get those appointments? Oh, well, I have to do 5. Okay, well, now you know that you have to do 30, 40 phone calls a week just to get to your goal. Once you start doing that and you create a habit, because once you're at that level, it just becomes a habit. You got to get on the phone on Thursday or Sunday night. You know that you have to book your appointments on a certain time, a certain day, and then next thing you know, you do your appointments, and then you move on to the next week, the next week, the next week. The thing that I tell reps, though, is that if you get ahead of schedule, you don't stop, you keep going. And the other thing, too, is if you get way behind, you still focus on your 5K goal. The thing is that it's a small enough goal that you can hit it, you can do it. There's many representatives that have 20, 30, 40, 50, 5K weeks in a row, and the thing is that they have no issues because they have a schedule, they have a plan, they know what they're doing, they got it all figured out.
You know what's interesting, too, is that a lot of times people have these big goals and say it doesn't start off well. And I've heard this so many times. So, their goal is 5K for the week. They get to, Friday or Saturday, and they're only at $800 or whatever. And sometimes they're like, okay, well, I'll just give up, take a day off, and start next week. When actually, I hear from multiple top reps, they're like, just keep working, because I've had so many times where it was that last day that I sold that other 4K.
Right.
Has it happened to you?
Many times. We call it Miracle Monday. Okay.
Even if it's not on a Monday, it's still right?
Monday or Sunday. I call it Miracle Monday, but yes, it's usually the last day of the week. You're stressed out about your goal, and then someone finally tells you, hey, don't worry about your goal. Just get out there and do the appointments, and everything will work out. The numbers always work out. So the thing that's great about it is that last day, usually you just get pushed over the edge, and you're like, wow, I had my best day ever, and I did half the appointments, and I didn't freak out about my goal. You know what I mean?
It's funny. It doesn't always have to work out, because even if it didn't work out that week, then that's where you might have bigger weeks next week. But it's just funny how it does work out sometimes, as long as you don't give up.
Right.
Anything else that you would want to share with the general audience if someone's asking you anything about CUTCO or advice? Or, you've done so well for so long, we could talk for hours, but...
Right. Well, I think the thing is that there's a source of reps that are out there that you guys can talk to. You guys just need to know that we're everywhere. We're all open-hearted. We tell you guys everything. We want you guys to be students of the business yourself. We want you to actually ask questions, come out, seek us, find us. So if you need to, you can always call the region office and say, hey, I need help with a certain area of the business. And usually the region office will go, oh, well, here's a representative. Do you want to call him? You know what I mean? Reach out to your peers. Know that we're here for you. If you have any questions or need anything, we're here to take you to the next level. Because the business, there's so many areas to grow, and
different programs to learn.
Way too many programs.
Our top reps usually do multiple programs.
Right.
So.
They have their foot in every door.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, I appreciate your time,
Yeah.
Curtis Jaques once again, and I'm sure you will hear from him again.